Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. If you're here, you're probably fascinated by tech, weather, or maybe a bit of both, just like us.
Absolutely. And today we're diving deep into a company that's making waves at that very intersection, WeatherXM. They claim to be revolutionizing weather forecasting, and honestly, their approach is super intriguing.
Right, so they're not just about telling you if it's going to rain tomorrow.
Not even close. This goes way beyond your typical weather app. WeatherXM is all about building a brand new system from the ground up.
Okay, color me intrigued. So what makes them so different? Where do we even start with WeatherXM?
Well, for one, they're embracing the Internet of Things, IoT for short. But it's not just about the buzzword, it's about what it enables.
Yeah, we hear IoT thrown around a lot these days. What does it actually mean in this context? Like, how do you connect toasters to thunderstorms?
Aha, good question. Basically, imagine a world where weather data isn't just collected by scientists in labs or, those big government weather stations,
Right.
but by everyday people like you and me.
Oh, interesting.
That's the power of IoT. WeatherXM is building a giant network of personal weather stations, each one like a little data superhero.
Data superhero, I like that. But how does that actually work? What are we talking about here?
So they've got these different weather station models you can actually purchase and set up, like at your home, farm, wherever.
Wait, really? I could have my own little weather station.
Yeah. They've got a few different ones to choose from, too. It's like a weather station buffet.
Yeah.
They've got the D1, the H2, and the Pulse.
Okay, so walk me through these options. Like, what makes each one unique? Why would someone pick, say, a D1 over an H2?
Good question. So the D1, that's your plug and play option, uses your home Wi-Fi perfect if you've got a good internet connection.
Makes sense.
Then there's the H2. This one's pretty cool. It actually uses the helium network.
Helium networks. Now, that's a new one for me.
It's awesome, actually. It's like this decentralized network, but instead of being run by a few big companies, it's powered by people like you and me, just regular folks who host these hotspots.
So it's like a community-owned network.
Exactly, which is why it's perfect for the H2. It's long range, low power, ideal for like remote areas, farms, places where traditional internet might be spotty.
That's brilliant. Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
So we've got Wi-Fi, we've got helium. What about the pulse? What's that all about?
Pulse uses 4G, so kind of splits the difference. It's a good, solid choice for folks who need something more robust than Wi-Fi, but maybe aren't in a helium coverage zone.
Okay, so you've got options, which I love.
Yeah.
But now I'm curious, what are these little data superheroes actually measuring?
Oh, they're collecting all sorts of cool stuff. Temperature, humidity, wind speed and direction,
Oh, wow.
barometric pressure, even rainfall. Some models can track lightning strikes and air quality, too.
Wow, that's incredible. So they're not messing around. But okay, let's zoom out for a second. Isn't that what like regular weather stations already do? Why is this network of personal stations such a big deal?
Ah, that's the key. Traditional weather stations, they're great, but they can be pretty spread out. They might miss those microclimate variations, those super localized weather events.
Right, right. Like it could be pouring in my backyard, but sunny 2 blocks over.
Exactly. And that's where WeatherXM comes in. With this dense network of personal stations, they can capture those microclimates, those sudden shifts with incredible detail. It's like having a weather station on every corner, giving you the most hyper-local, up-to-the-minute forecast imaginable.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's about accuracy.
More than that, think about it, more accurate forecasts, especially in areas that are usually underserved by traditional weather services.
Yeah.
That's a game changer.
For sure. Who benefits most from this kind of hyperlocal approach?
Honestly, everyone. But let's take farmers, for example.
Yeah.
Imagine a farmer out in a rural area. They rely on knowing exactly what the weather's doing, right? With WeatherXM, they can make decisions about planting, irrigation, even stuff like predicting potential pest outbreaks based on that super localized data. We're talking about maximizing yields, minimizing losses, making agriculture way more sustainable.
That's incredible. But it's not just about farms, right? What about like cities or towns?
Think about it. Cities could use this data to predict and mitigate heat waves, flash floods, all sorts of stuff. Emergency responders could have like real-time, hyperlocal weather data during a hurricane or a wildfire.
Wow.
The possibilities are truly mind-blowing.
It's like they're taking something we kind of take for granted, the weather, and giving us the power to really understand it at a whole new level.
And they're not stopping there. WeatherXM is taking a radical new approach to data sharing and incentivization. Get this, they're using Web3.
Web3 and weather. Now that's a combination I didn't see coming.
Right. It's not something you hear every day, but it's actually a really fascinating application.
Okay, so Web3 and weather. I'll admit, I need a little help wrapping my head around this. What exactly does Web3 mean in this context? And how does it connect to, actual rain and sunshine?
It's about shifting the power dynamic. Think of Web3 as the internet, but instead of being controlled by a few big companies, it's owned and operated by its users.
Okay, so more decentralized, more democratic. But how does that apply to weather data?
So WeatherXM is using blockchain technology and cryptocurrency to empower their community of users.
I'm following so far. But how does that actually work in practice?
It's all about their WXM token. This isn't just some random digital coin, it's the fuel that powers their whole ecosystem.
Interesting.
Users can earn these WXM tokens by doing stuff for the network, like hosting a weather station or helping validate data. It's pretty cool.
So they're creating this whole weather-focused economy with its own currency. That's pretty wild.
It is, and it's designed to incentivize participation. The more people contribute, the more valuable the data becomes.
I'm seeing the potential here. But okay, let's get back to the data itself. We've got this amazing network of stations pumping out all this hyper-local data. But what do we actually do with it all?
Right. Data for data's sake isn't that useful. WeatherXM gets that. They're not just collecting data, they're building services on top of it.
Okay, like what kind of services are we talking about?
Everything from, like, raw data feeds for the real weather geeks to hyperlocal forecasts that actually make checking the weather useful.
Sign me up for the hyperlocal forecast. But I saw on their website they mentioned something called forecast accuracy tracking. What is that?
Oh, that's cool. It's all about transparency. Basically, they let users compare how well different forecasting models perform using their data.
So you can see which model is the most accurate for your location. No more getting caught in the rain because your weather app is wrong.
Exactly. And it's not just about us regular folks. Imagine the impact this could have on industries like agriculture, insurance, energy.
Okay, yeah, those are some heavy hitters. How does WeatherXM play into those worlds?
Take agriculture, for example. A farmer could subscribe to a service that gives them hyperlocal forecasts tailored to their specific field. We're talking about microclimates, soil conditions, you name it.
Wow, so they can, like, plan their entire planting and harvesting schedule based on this super precise data.
Totally. Studies have shown this kind of precision can significantly increase yields. And it's not just about more crops, it's about doing it more sustainably, using less water.
That's incredible. What about insurance companies? Where do they fit in?
Insurance is all about assessing risk, right? And weather plays a huge role. With this hyperlocal data, insurers can get way more accurate risk profiles.
So no more paying a fortune for homeowners insurance because you live in a high-risk zone when really your street might be totally fine.
Exactly. Plus, they could even proactively warn customers about severe weather, giving them time to prepare.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. Better data equals better decisions, better outcomes. What about the energy sector? How does WeatherXM change the game for them?
Energy grids are incredibly complex, right? And renewable energy sources like solar and wind, those are weather dependent.
Makes sense. You need to know when the sun's shining or the wind's blowing to generate power.
Right. With WeatherXM's data, energy companies can get super accurate forecasts for how much power they'll be generating. They could optimize their entire grid, balance supply and demand way more effectively.
It's like bringing the energy grid into the future. Okay, this all sounds amazing, but let's be real. WeatherXM is still a pretty young company. They've got a lot to prove, right?
Oh, for sure. They're trying to do something really ambitious.
So what are the hurdles? What are the challenges they need to overcome?
Well, for one, there's competition. Lots of other companies are also working on weather data and forecasting.
Right, they're not the only ones playing in this space.
Plus, there are always regulatory hurdles, especially when you're talking about data privacy and all that.
Oh yeah, that's a big one these days.
And let's not forget the technical challenges. Managing that much data, making sure it's accurate, reliable, that's no easy task.
They're basically building a plane while flying it. High risk, high reward.
You could say that. But, despite all that, there's this huge opportunity here. WeatherXM is at the forefront of a movement to democratize weather data, make it useful for everyone.
I love that. It's like they're saying weather affects all of us, so let's all work together to understand it better.
And that's where their commitment to open source software and open data comes in. They're not trying to hoard all this information. They want to share it with the world.
Okay, so tell me more about that. Why is this open approach so important? Okay, so tell me more about that. Why is this open approach so important?
Well, think about it. For a long time, weather data has been kind of locked away, controlled by governments, big corporations.
Right, it's not like I could just download all the weather data for my town from some public website.
Exactly, but WeatherXM, they're changing that. They're making their data and their tools accessible to everyone.
Wow, that's a pretty radical shift. Why do you think they're so committed to this open approach?
They really believe in the power of, collective intelligence, bringing together weather enthusiasts, scientists, developers, even just curious people
Yeah.
to unlock new ideas and solutions.
So it's like more minds working together leads to bigger breakthroughs.
That's the idea. They're saying, hey, weather affects everyone, so let's all be a part of understanding it better.
I love that. It's such a refreshing change from the usual, closed-door approach to this kind of stuff. Can you give me some examples of how this open data could lead to cool innovations? What are we talking about here?
Oh man, the possibilities are huge. Imagine a high school science class using WeatherXM's data to track local weather patterns for a research project.
That's so cool.
Or, maybe an app developer in India uses it to build a tool that helps farmers in their region adapt to the changing monsoon seasons.
That's amazing. It's like giving people the tools to solve problems that directly affect their lives and communities.
Exactly. And because it's all built on this decentralized Web3 platform, it's not just some big company profiting off the data. The benefits are shared more equitably.
Okay, I'm convinced this is the future of weather forecasting, or at least it has the potential to be. But WeatherXM's still got a lot to prove, right? They've got a long road ahead of them.
Yeah, for sure. They're trying to disrupt a massive industry, and that's never easy.
So, final thoughts. Clear skies ahead for WeatherXM, or are there storm clouds brewing?
It's always tough to predict the future, especially with something as complex as, well, the weather, but honestly, I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've tapped into something important, this need for accurate, accessible weather information. Plus, they've got a passionate team, a growing community, a really compelling vision.
It sounds like they're just getting started.
Exactly. And, even if they don't achieve every single goal they've set for themselves, they're already making a difference. They're pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
I'm excited to see what they do next.
Me too. It's a really exciting time to be following this space.
Absolutely. Well, a huge thanks to you, our listeners, for joining us on this deep dive into the world of WeatherXM.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're leaving today as fascinated by their mission as we are.
And hey, you never know. Maybe you'll be the one building the next great weather app or making a groundbreaking discovery, all thanks to a little company with some big ideas.
And until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep your eyes on the skies.